What goes into the thought process of I've been at Netflix for 10 years, now I want to start a company?
Yeah. So the biggest, I think what's natural for a lot of people is anytime you end like a really big project that you've been working on, especially over a few years, you start to evaluate like what's next, right? And so for me, that was leading the technology aspect for the account sharing initiative, which was extremely successful. One of the most impactful projects in Netflix history.
And
And
does that
so
mean like ending account sharing or what?
yeah, ending
Okay.
like yeah, the password sharing crackdown. I'm that
Yeah.
person. I apologize. I will say to like everybody out there that I was always fighting on the side of the users as like we were going through that entire process. It was quite an interesting thing. I also like to tell people that I used to work on things like skip credits and the rows on the home screen for Netflix. And so people always like when I talked about that, love me because of that. And then when
So
I
you
was
saved
working,
everyone a bunch of time by skipping the credits and going just straight to the next episode,
yeah,
and then you made Netflix a bit more money by
yeah,
password crackdown.
exactly. And so once I was started working on that project, then I would go to weddings or something. All of a sudden, like I like yeah, I got a little bit more fun jabbing, right? Like, oh, you're the person for like you're the reason why I can't watch Netflix anymore. Um, yeah, interesting project. But so we launched it. We launched it globally. It was extremely successful. That was really at that point. The question started to become like, what's next, right? And so I started exploring my options. I also knew about like ChatGPT and AI and the revolution that was happening in 2023. I was so busy with the account sharing stuff that I like wasn't looking into it very much, but I knew that there was an opportunity to add in a lot of value in a lot of different ways. So I had that in mind already. So once I started having a little bit more time, then I really started to evaluate more and more. Um, I've felt for years now, just like hearing from friends and coworkers and just other people that the software that's in education is horrible. Like people, it's very rare for somebody to say like, "Oh yeah, this was amazing." And so I started thinking of that as an opportunity as well. And so I reached out to my cousin, who's a vice principal for a school in LAUSD for students with special needs. And I was like, "Hey, do you have some time to chat?" Like, and she was open to it. And I asked her, "What's your biggest problem? Like, what day in and day out, what is an issue that you wish would like get fixed for you?" And she started telling me about this new framework that's focused on social and emotional learning and just a new way to deal with interventions for students, which was a little bit more focused on teaching kids skills and understanding the issues and then figuring out like a way to move forward without using exclusionary practices like detention, suspension, and expulsion. The problem with exclusionary practices like that is that it takes the kids out of classrooms, makes them fall behind, and you're not teaching them any skills on how to deal with those situations better moving forward. And so that's
I always
been,
kind of thought it was like a weird practice that you're doing
yeah,
something bad in school, so we take you outside of school.
exactly.
Like it's just like really backwards from a punishment. I
Exactly.
mean, in theory, the kid's like, "Oh, great, I don't have to do schoolwork.
Yeah.
That's a good
Oh,
thing."
all I have to do is get in a fight and then I get to skip like the
Yeah.
test tomorrow. Sure, let me go do that. Um, and so she started telling me about this framework, and what she basically said was that her teachers didn't understand it. Teachers have a very limited number of days where they get training, and that's training for everything that they have to do, not just like focused on a framework like this. And so basically, she believed that teachers should be able to handle a lot of situations in the classroom, but because they didn't understand the framework, they were just sending the kids to the office, and then she would get like frustrated by it. And so I was like, oh, that's an interesting place where AI could potentially help if AI understands the framework, right, and has the context of the students and the like overall what's happening. Then perhaps we can make those personalized intervention recommendations for the teachers in the classroom to empower them to like bring back those actions into the classroom and alleviate that stress on administration side. And so that kind of like started me digging into this. And so I started talking to other people that I knew in education and suggesting like what a piece of software like this could look like. And every time that I talked to somebody that worked in that space, they immediately got excited. They were like, this would save me so much time. This would be amazing. And then as I started learning more and more, I learned that like there isn't really a standard practice that teachers or anybody really like has for this framework to be able to say, yes, this is the most effective intervention strategy for this student. And so then I started getting excited about bringing in some more like big tech type philosophy into the industry, which is making more data driven objective decisions or suggestions to hopefully even improve the interventions that we recommend for educators. And so the framework itself has shown a lot of benefits when it's applied well, which is kind of a big key term. Then you see grades go up, attendance goes up, graduation rates go up. But applying it well is really difficult. The majority of teachers still say that they don't understand the framework. And it's been like 20 years since the framework got introduced for the first time. And so if we're able to empower teachers to apply the framework effectively, not only should we get more schools to realize those gains that the like other schools have done before them, but hopefully even improve on the results of what we've seen from the framework before.
If you enjoyed that clip, there is much more of that conversation. Make sure to check out the full interview where we get into so much more. And if it was helpful, click the like and subscribe button. If not, no worries. Hopefully, I'll convince you next time. I hope you have a wonderful day and enjoy wherever you are.